Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a first look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Glimmora. Glimmora evolves from Glimmet, which can be encountered through field research tasks, or how I got mine, as a rare spawn that can be found while doing routes. Now Glimmora is a rock and poison type Pokemon, and for the moveset, it has Smackdown, Power Gem, and Meteor Beam. Now right off the bat, the typing and mono rock moveset do not inspire a lot of confidence. This Pokemon is around 1600 stat product as well, so I think we're going to need all the help that we can get to try and get some wins. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And in game number 1, we're off to a strong start leading Shadow Annihilape into Regidrago. This team composition is quite different from the normal ABC or ABB style teams that we usually see on the channel. This is an XAB style team where the goal is to try and brute force switch advantage with Shadow Annihilape, and then hopefully, with proper alignment, Glimmora and Gourgeist will be able to win games in back. My opponent goes for a Vice Grip bait, but realistically, that's not going to affect how I play out this matchup. My goal is pretty simple: double shield, farm down, and exit with a heavily boosted Annihilape. My opponent sends in Shadow Typhlosion. I know the Incinerate will knock me out, so I only throw one counter and the Rage Fist. Rage Fist does get the shield. In comes Glimmora, and it appears someone has completely messed up Glimmora's camera settings. As our camera pans way to the sky, they send in Scizor, and I answer with Gourgeist. Night Slash lands, but it's not enough damage. I exit with the game-winning Shadow Ball, and that's going to force my opponent to empty all their energy. Thunder Punch is going to be knocking out the Gourgeist, but now I should be able to bring back in Glimmora. Look at these camera settings. Glimmora gets the farm down and takes the win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a good lead, leading Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Scizor. My opponent safe switches into a Azumarill, and even though I have a Grass-type Gourgeist in the back, I cannot afford to switch out. Gourgeist is my best answer to Scizor. I can't bring in Glimmora because Glimmora loses to both Azumarill and Shadow Scizor, so I'm forced to stay in with the Annihilape. My goal here is, even if I have to go down 2 shields, I'm going to make a play for switch advantage, and then put the Incinerate using Gourgeist on the Scizor endgame. Annihilape unfortunately can't quite get the farm down. Even at +2, Azumarill is just simply too bulky. Azumarill able to force both shields. My opponent aggressively pivots into Altaria, and it's time. In comes Glimmora. Unfortunately, now we see how glassy Glimmora is. We get absolutely shredded by Dragon Breaths and a Flamethrower. This is just the most unserious Pokemon I have ever used. Power Gem will take the knockout. There's no way we're ever surviving a Bullet Punch, but now I can send in Gourgeist. These Incinerate shredding through Scizor. I know after that Incinerate registers, they're going to be very low, so I have a guaranteed win condition by blind switching into Annihilape. We counter down the Azumarill, counter down Shadow Scizor, and despite Glimmora's best efforts, we are 2-0. We get a terrible lead in the next match, leading Shadow Annihilape into Whimsicott. I'm forced to switch out of this matchup. I safe switch into the Gourgeist, and my opponent stays in. This works out well for me. I'm getting nice damage onto the Whimsicott. I'm going to fire off Shadow Ball. My opponent makes a nice catch onto Feraligatr. Realistically, I would need 2 charge attacks into Feraligatr anyway. It's actually the non-Shadow Feraligatr, interestingly enough. I will get the Seed Bomb and will be able to get my shield back, which is very nice. Even despite all these super effective Shadow Claws, Hydro Cannon's not going to KO here. They're going to have to go for the Ice Beam. So I no shield, Hydro Cannon lands, we survive, and that is a big call. Now my opponent has to give me switch advantage or shield advantage. They give me switch advantage, and that's huge, because now I get to put the Whimsicott onto Glimmora. My opponent waits down the timer, sends in Jellicent, and unfortunately we've just lost this game. When team building with something that has such an abysmal win rate like Glimmora, you're going to have to be weak to something. Because Glimmora, I believe when I checked, had like a 6% win rate. Glimmora is absolutely atrocious. So unfortunately, we kind of have to team build and have some weaknesses because there's no way to cover everything. And unfortunately, we're just triple weak to Jellicent. So we're just going to get fully swept here. Shadow Ball is going to KO Annihilape. I send in Glimmora. Surely Glimmora will be able to tank a Surf. Surely there's no way we just get one shot from full health, right? Of course we get one shot from full health. Down goes Glimmora, and we will lose that game. Picking up an ice lead in the next match, Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Now, Ninetales, always running Powder Snow instead of Charm, does make this matchup very playable for Annihilape. Annihilape is going to immediately undertap the Rage Fist and just look to ramp up as much damage as possible into the Ninetales. Rage Fist is going to land. Now look at these counters, absolutely shredding. My opponent sends in a Charizard. Oh no! Glimmora almost able to get that farm down, and I know shield because I should be walling their energy. But look at Glimmora. We almost get one shot by a resisted Blast Burn. That was a non-Shadow Charizard too. If they had a Shadow Charizard, I just would have lost on the spot. In comes Empoleon, and now we see why they kind of had to panic switch out, because they were very, very weak to Annihilape in the back. Rage Fist is going to be no-shielded by the Empoleon. Empoleon getting deleted. In comes the Ninetales. That gets farmed down as well. And we won't even need the Gourgeist this game, as Annihilape is just simply too strong. We pick up a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Shadow Annihilape into Corviknight. Now, I can always survive one Air Cutter, but the big worry is that that's still going to do some pretty substantial damage to my very attack-weighted Annihilape. My opponent makes a very nice catch and sneak, catching the Rage Fist onto Charjabug. Oh, it's a Shadow Charjabug at that. I send in the Gourgeist, huge error from my opponent, mistiming their X-Scissor, and that gives me an entire Incinerate for free. Gourgeist gets the full farm down, exiting with a ton of energy, but my happiness is short-lived as it's Bastiodon in the back. Glimora gets destroyed by Corviknight because Sand Attack hits for double super effective damage, and Glimora is also destroyed by Bastiodon. So, Glimora can't really do anything in this game. To be honest, it can't do much in many games. I switch clocks up, I pivot into the Annihilape to try and bait back out the Corviknight. My Annihilape is so low, but I need to try and get a little bit of value out of it. I got some counters onto the Bastiodon, I land the Rage Fist. They do exit with energy, but I don't think they have enough for the payback. So I am going to no-shield here, hoping my counts are right. It's only an Air Cutter, but that still does quite a lot of damage. Back in comes the Bastiodon, and I realize I'm not getting to 2 charge attacks. Glimora is just so bad. I have to hope for some reason my opponent no-shields here, but they shield up the Meteor Beam. They're going to fully farm down. I need to make a move on the Gourgeist, but I don't have enough HP. I don't get the Seed Bomb. And unfortunately, we will lose that game. Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Kanto Ninetales in the next match. Now, I'm pretty happy to see this on the lead, because hopefully they're going to have a Grass type in the back. K9 is often paired with Grass, and Gourgeist will be able to feast. But my opponent save switches into a Malamar, and this is a big problem. I'm triple weak to the Squid. But my opponent no-shields the Rage Fist, and that's good news for me. I just have to stay in with the Annihilape, try and counter all the way down, and then I will be able to put the Smackdown having Glimora on their Kanto Ninetales. If their Kanto Ninetales does have Scorching Sands, though, I am absolutely getting one shot. We know even a single super effective move will knock me out. I'm going to look to try and get ahead on energy here as I send in the Gourgeist in the back. Oh no, it's Leafage Abomasnow, and my opponent will immediately resign the match. We get a pretty okay lead in the next match, Shadow Annihilape into Umbreon. My opponent safe switches into a non-Shadow Marowak. That is not something you see every day, because the non-Shadow Marowak is just awful compared to the Shadow. Marowak will fire off the Rock Slide, but since it's the non-Shadow, it just really does not do a lot of damage. I decide to undertap here. I want to lock in some damage onto this Marowak. Seed Bomb barely misses the knockout, but I'm confident after seeing the Rock Slide's damage land that I should be able to survive here. Rock Slide lands, look at the Gourgeist, 1 HP remaining, and Umbreon is only going to get a tiny little energy head start. Seed Bomb is going to connect, in comes Annihilape, in the back is Corsola, and we just lose the game. Even though it's a neutral matchup, even though I had a pretty solid first matchup here leading Annihilape into the Umbreon, Glimora just cannot do anything neutrally. This Mon, I don't even think a moveset buff could save it. It is just atrociously bad. I fire off the Meteor Beam looking for any damage that I can get, but they still have 45% of a Corsola remaining, so that's the quickest top left I've ever had. We do pick up a winning lead in the next match, Shadow Annihilape into Primeape. Primeape gonna strike first as they go for the Rage Fist. Primeape will probably look to bail out of this matchup afterwards. Rage Fist is going to be shielded. They bail into a Sea King. Oh my goodness. The 2900s bringing out the spice. Rage Fist is going to be shielded. Sea King farming up quite a bit of energy. Sea King with a catastrophic mistake. Sea King could have outpaced, but Sea King unfortunately ends up over farming by 1, playing to a CMP tie that they do not win because I have a very attack-weighted Annihilape. That was a bit of a risk from my opponent, and unfortunately, it did not pay off for them. Now I get to bring in the Gourgeist. Gourgeist is about to get absolutely shredded here by an Icy Wind. So I put up the shield, go for the Seed Bomb, and they make a beautiful catch of the debuff Seed Bomb onto Primeape. Unfortunately, with the debuff, I can't farm down, so I'm going to go for a Rage Fist catch onto Glimora, and I don't get it. If they have close combat, I'm definitely getting one shot. They do! Good night, Glimora! And I get that farm down. I do have quite a bit of energy, and I know they should still be 3 off on the Sea King. So if they bring in the Sea King, I will be able to overfarm. They do bring in the Sea King and fire off the Seed Bomb. This gives me as much residual energy as possible going into the endgame. Sea King will get KO'd in the back. Is Hisuian Electrode. And I think a really spicy team is kind of what this team needs to see in order to win. Shadow Ball does huge damage, but wait, I actually think I'm in Wild Charge range. I think I lose this game. Wild Charge from the Electrode. Oh my goodness, Gourgeist, 1 HP remaining. Somehow we survive. We had no business winning that game. We move to the next match. We can have a pretty okay lead. Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Marowak. Considering I have a double super effective weakness to Mud Slap in the back with Glimora, very happy to see this here. Annihilape fires off the Rage Fist, shield comes up from the Marowak, and I think rather than double shielding, I'm just going to let this go and go for an aggressive farm down with the Gourgeist. I'm hoping that once the Marowak has been neutralized, Glimora will be able to do something in the back. I don't know if Glimora has done anything throughout these battles so far, but we're going to try. I feel like Glimora has been put in positions to succeed and just has consistently been unable to do so. They have a Carbink, and this is probably just a loss, unfortunately. Carbink is just so bulky. Seed Bomb just does absolutely nothing. This is pretty abysmal. I fire off Seed Bomb at the Carbink. I'm just going to look to pivot now. My opponent pivots as well, and it's a Bug Bite Fortress. Glimora allegedly resists Bug Bite, but you wouldn't know it from how much damage Glimora is taking. Oh my goodness. They Rock Tomb to debuff my attack, and I'm going to buff my attack right back with the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam onto this Fortress will take the knockout, and back in comes Carbink. If I can make a move on Glimora, I win the game, but Glimora, it only has nukes. Glimora gets farmed down. I can't make the back-to-back moves on Gourgeist, and unfortunately, we will lose that game. Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Marowak once again. Opponent safe switches into Florges, but I have a very good response available with the Gourgeist. Now this is a little bit tough, because ideally I would love to save the Gourgeist for the Marowak, but I absolutely need this Gourgeist for the Florges. Florges is going to be hit with an undertapped Shadow Ball, because I needed to lock in that damage before they threw another Chilling Water and put me at -2. The good news is I'm fully walling them, but the bad news is the energy that I exit with is not going to be particularly valuable. In comes Togekiss, and I think I'm in a lot of trouble. I would have loved to pivot out and save the Gourgeist for the Marowak, but I can't really pivot into anything. If I pivot into the Annihilape, I just get destroyed by the Togekiss. I just have to hope that Annihilape, even with having taken a little bit of damage, will be able to farm down Marowak before I get farmed down. In comes Annihilape. I already have the Rage Fist loaded after a few counters, so I will get to boost up early. Rage Fist is going to be shielded by the Marowak, but I look at the health bars, and I know I just can't catch up. I get farmed down. Back in comes Glimora. We get farmed down, and we lose with both shields remaining. We pick up a pretty decent lead in the next match. Shadow Annihilape into Gastrodon. Gastrodon's slow pacing to Water Pulse is what makes this matchup pretty nice for Annihilape. My opponent sends an Altaria into a loaded Shadow Annihilape. I fire off the Ice Punch. They call the bait, and I'm always going to be staying in here. I know that I need to win switch advantage now, because if I can just win switch with Annihilape, I get to put Gourgeist on the Gastrodon, and then hopefully Glimora will be able to do something against what they have in the back. Maybe I could have brought Glimora into the Altaria, but we saw earlier that matchup wasn't even that good. So in comes the Gastrodon, a miscount from my opponent. They thought I had one more counter of energy than I did, so they fire off the Body Slam, but they could have gotten the farm down. Not that the energy would have gone very far against the Gourgeist. Gourgeist, oh no, gets a free one as my opponent will fire off the Water Pulse. Water Pulse is going to land. In the back is Empoleon, so thankfully, the Gourgeist is going to sweep. I didn't need Glimora for this game. I'm going to get to a Seed Bomb now against Empoleon. I don't think my next Incinerate will quite knock out, but it will put them very low. My opponent throws one in the move. They think that the Incinerate will knock out, but I think they will barely be able to hang on here. They do hang on, they get farmed down, and we will exit with the Seed Bomb loaded. So Glimora gets to take the game off, which is probably the best use of Glimora in the Go Battle League, just not being used whatsoever. Hopping into the final match, we pick up a very good lead. Shadow Annihilape into Stunfisk. My opponent safe switches into Fearow, and I respond with Glimora. But the bad news for me is I'm going to have to go down a shield. Glimora just gets absolutely shredded by Drill Run. It would easily pick up the one-hit KO. So I do get the farm down there. Glimora going to be answered with Stunfisk, and I fire off the Meteor Beam. I know it's probably a Togekiss in the back. I've seen this team a few times. Meteor Beam does devastating damage, but look at how much the neutral Thunder Shocks are doing. Where did my entire health bar go? Unfortunately, I'm forced to let this go. I wanted to try and save it, but if I have to go down 2 shields to save it, then I'm just not going to be able to win. In the back is Togekiss, and unfortunately, we are just getting swept. Glimora was baited out. I was forced to go down a shield. I wasn't able to desync the switch timers enough to save it, and now I'm just getting destroyed. I can't even make the Shadow Ball. My one win con is that my opponent is miscounted, but they know it's just a Seed Bomb, and we will lose the game. Oh, that actually wasn't the final match. This appears to be the final match. Okay, we have Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Scizor. Scizor gonna launch a Night Slash, more than happy to no shield, and then immediately under tap the Rage Fist. My opponent gets the Night Slash boost, and that is absolutely catastrophic. Rage Fist is gonna be shielded. In comes the Gourgeist looking for the snipe, but my opponent shows great patience as they're able to save that Shadow Scizor and switch out into a Azumarill. Azumarill is going to be losing here to an up energy Gourgeist, but they're guaranteed to land an Ice Beam. Ice Beam will do some pretty significant damage, but importantly will not be enough to secure the KO. So, Scizor, unfortunately, I was really hoping to get that snipe down there. That would have been a massive swing of momentum, but the Scizor still being alive is obviously going to be some pretty terrible news for my Glimmora. Seed Bomb number 3 into the Azumarill is going to be taking the knockout, and what do they have in the back? They reveal they have Furret in the back, and I'm in so much trouble. I send in Glimmora. Glimmora, these smackdowns are adding up. If I can no shield and make it to a move, I have a chance to win this game. Trailblaze is gonna land. Glimmora, can we get the power gem? We cannot. This really has to be the worst Pokemon in the entire Go Battle League. Furret farms down Annihilape, and we will lose that game. After playing Glimmora for several sets, I can confidently say this is probably the worst Pokemon they have ever released in the entire history of the Go Battle League. Glimmora has absolutely no redeeming qualities. I don't think any move update could realistically save it. It is incredibly frail. Its typing does not do it a lot of favors. Being weak to Mud Slap in a meta where Pokemon like Kanto Marowak are extremely strong is just not what you want. Even with a strong supporting cast of Gourgeist and Shadow Annihilape, this team struggled a lot. And it really wasn't the fault of Gourgeist and Shadow Annihilape. It was just that, unfortunately, Glimmora was put in many potentially winning positions and could just never convert on those positions because it is ridiculously slow, it is ridiculously frail, and it has absolutely no coverage to speak of. So Glimmora, it's worth getting for your Pokédex, but I don't think there's ever going to be a world in which Glimmora has any viability, even in a single limited meta, even with future move updates. So for now, it's just going to be a Pokemon that you can get purely for cosmetic reasons. It has absolutely no value in the Go Battle League. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed my suffering running Glimmora in today's video, then please do leave a like on it. Oh my goodness, those sets, I'm very excited to go live later and run good Pokemon. Running good Pokemon for a change instead of Glimmora, I think is going to be a massive improvement. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.